Good morning and welcome to another episode of Fertility Talk. And today we've got Professor Kruger and he's from Avitas Fertility Clinic and they are in Pinelands. So welcome, Professor, and thank you for joining us.
Welcome. It's really a pleasure, honor.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've got a few questions that we're just going to ask you and we'll go through them. The first one is, what drew you to the field of reproductive medicine and what continues to motivate you in the work with patients today?
Just repeat the question again, talking to me because I couldn't hear you.
Sorry. What drew you to the field of reproductive medicine and what continues to motivate you in your work with patients today?
All right, so drawing and motivation, those are the two words.
Yes.
I was involved in the early days of the IVF story in South Africa. The story is that I wrote my final specialization exam in London, and then I realized that in South Africa there's no IVF setup.
Yeah.
And when I came back, I saw the dean of University of Stellenbosch and said that I wanted to start an IVF clinic, and they must send me overseas. They didn't have money, and then I started the IVF lab on my own. In the beginning, working with mouse embryos. And when we got them to grow, which is a story on its own, we were ready to proceed to the human field, and that's where it all started.
Thank you very much, Professor. So you're definitely a pioneer when it comes to IVF.
Yeah, I
What?
just want to
Yes.
emphasize that in those early years, I thank you for the word pioneer, but we were a number of pioneers. There
Yes.
was Johan van Schoonberg in those years that worked on the ovulation side of the patient, and he made big strides with his PhD in the field, and that assists us to get results very quickly. Then there was a Mr. Frick Stander who helped me in the IVF lab in the beginning years, and he was a wonderful partner to have had in the field. There was Dr. Arend van der Heever who did the first aspiration of eggs, because those years we did laparoscopic removal of follicles to get the eggs. And he was the best at Tygerberg Hospital with the laparoscope at the time. So we were forming a pioneering team
Yes.
that consists of a number of people.
Thank you very much, Professor. Our next question is, what advice would you give to patients preparing for their first fertility consultation?
So again, what advice
What
will I give?
advice would you give to patients preparing for their first fertility consultation?
Yeah, I think it's a very important question, how to prepare for the fertility consultation, but I'll rephrase it also. I will say, why must you go and see the fertility specialist, and who must go and see the specialist quicker than
Yeah.
others? I think that is crucial. So if someone's got irregular cycles, for example, you must not wait. You go to your gynecologist or go to your fertility specialist. You don't wait that year that they say in books. Wait a year before you go.
Yeah.
If you have irregular cycles, there's already a problem.
Yes.
If there is a history of serious surgery on the tubes, um, or ovarian cyst, go earlier. Don't wait the year.
Mm.
Um, Sometimes the doctors will do nothing but just to get that peace of mind. If there is a history of cancer, male or female, it tells us that you need to see the doctor quicker, especially on the male side. If there's a history in a male where at the age of 3 or 4 or 2 he had an operation on the testes,
Mm.
um, then they need to see that as an orange flag and see the doctor quicker. To prepare for a consultation is one thing, but to make that choice, I want to go quicker, is important. And then I think make sure that your clinic is well selected, and the doctor there will guide you in by taking a history what to do.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Professor. The next question is, what do you wish more patients understood about the fertility journey, especially in terms of timing, expectations, or emotional preparation?
Yeah, your question is very long, so explain the question to me because I don't understand your question.
Okay,
So
so what?
explain.
Okay, so what do you wish that patients understood when it comes to like the timing of everything? Because patients normally think that if they come this month, at the end of the month, I'm going to be
Yeah, all
pregnant.
right, I understand.
Yeah.
So the question is actually, what must they understand about ovulation
Yes.
and the fertile period? So that's the simple way. I'm very simple in my formulation of things. You're very clever and very complicated question, but I understand a very important question again. So the patients must look at their cycles. And if they have a 28-day cycle and they want to know when they ovulate, they can guess and say around about day 14.
Yes.
But women do see sometimes a mucus discharge in the middle of the cycle. And that's a sign, very simple sign, but very important sign of I'm in my fertile period. What is the mucus doing? It actually carries the sperm into her body. So the body will form an egg. We call it a follicle, housing the egg. We talk about the follicle. And when the follicle are close to maturity, there will be mucus. So it's a clinical sign of ovulation. She can also have a pain in the one left or right side, and then you know the egg is going to be released or close to being released. So those are clinical signs. She can take a temperature, and the temperature will be a certain level, and it will then start rising at the time of this mucus discharge, and that's also a way.
Yeah.
Simple measures to understand my body better.
Yes.
If she has a 33 and 35 and 37-day cycles and then a 24-day cycle, she will not ovulate in all those cycles, and it's better to see a doctor. That is the first question that we've handled.
Okay.
Go to your doctor if your cycles are long.
Yeah.
Go to your doctor if your cycle is irregular. Another way to look at ovulation is to buy a test kit. One
Yeah.
of them are clear blue, and you can test the urine and see when the egg is going to release with that so-called smiling face. But I think also being in tune with your body is more important than the urine stick. I
Yes.
hope I answered that question.
Yeah, but the another part of the question was that, when patients are coming to an IVF clinic and they're thinking, okay, I'm coming to the IVF clinic now, and they're going to think like, this is the month I'm doing it, and they do one cycle and think, okay, after I do my cycle, I'm going to be pregnant. So there's an expectation of I just need to go
Yeah.
once to the clinic and I'm going to be pregnant. So maybe
Yes.
you can give me, like,
Understand,
yeah,
understand. Very, very, very important. I'm not. I'm very serious with your question. Is it pinpoints a very um, important problem, and
yes,
that is that the patients expect miracles when they get into the clinic, and their
yes,
chances to fall pregnant if everything is fine is only 10% per month on their own. But in 3, 4, 5 months, that percentage will go up if we know where they ovulate, if we know the husband's semen is good, and so on. So they must have a low expectation per month,
yes,
but understand that the human reproduces over time. So in 6 months' time, if everything is perfect, they will have a much higher chance. And we talk about that pregnancy chance as cumulative,
yes,
the chance per month, but chance over time. And they must understand if you are um, a rabbit, you will reproduce immediately. If you don't reproduce immediately, it's a big problem. It
yes.
doesn't work like that with a male, with a human.
Yes. Thank you very much, Professor. Our next question is, in your experience, what is one myth or common misunderstanding about fertility treatment that you'd like to correct? If there's any myths about fertility treatment that you'd like to correct?
Mm. I think, uh, and I'm talking about our clinic, we
Yes.
are a holistic clinic. So we try to solve problems in the simplest possible way. So I think it's a misconception to think when you go to a clinic, you get IVF. If
Mm.
that is the approach of the clinic, I don't think it's pure.
Yes.
You first try other measures, and most clinics in South Africa will follow that approach.
Yes.
In New York, for example, there are IVF clinics. You go there, you get IVF, no other treatment, no
Yes.
lateral thinking. I think that's not correct, and I think the patients must be guided by the doctor, and he will pinpoint why he suggests this or that treatment based on the history and small tests that we do on the patients.
Thank you. Our very last questions, last two we've got is what advances or changes in fertility care over the past few years have made the biggest difference to your patients?
Advances. I think if we talk about advances in IVF clinics, I think that compared to 20, 30 years ago, big strides were made in the laboratory. Big
Mm,
strides were made in new, highly sophisticated mediums where you grow embryos in. Big strides were made in incubators, and there are now incubators where you don't need to open the incubator to see what's happening to the embryo. It also uses artificial intelligence in a good way
mm,
to protect your little embryo, to grow it for 5 days in a one-step medium, and to through a computer microscope, you can see what's going on inside that incubator without disturbing the embryo. So keep it in a very healthy
environment.
environment. The other thing that developed immensely was the egg freezing
Mm,
results. And our clinic freezes eggs and we monitor from the United States for our results. And we know that we have a 90% thawing rate and a pregnancy rate of about 60% with eggs, frozen eggs. So I think young people not having the right uh, friend as yet, young
mm,
women must freeze their eggs before they're 34. That's ideal, so that they protect their fertility, and it's very successful. And then, if there's any history of cancer on the male side, especially, freeze your egg, your sperm
mm.
on time. Don't get so flabbergasted that you and so afraid of the disease because people are cured
Yeah.
from cancers.
Mm.
But if they don't freeze the sperm and get chemotherapy, big problem later.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Professor. The last question is looking ahead, what developments in reproductive medicine excite you the most?
Yeah, I think perhaps the same thing, the better understanding of embryos, eggs, incubators, medium. Um, Also, to stay with simple things like
Yeah.
lifestyle. Lifestyle, people make themselves infertile because they get overweight, they eat the wrong food, they eat fast food, they smoke. And it still excites me to guide people towards lifestyle changes.
Yes.
And it's such simple measures that the patient can take themselves. So I think. that is still within reach of the patient. And then, yeah, I think the other points I've touched.
Thank you very much, Professor, that you've heard from Professor Kruger, and we really appreciate your time this morning. So have a great day further. Thank you, Professor.
Thank
Professor
you
Kruger,
all. I
Professor,
really appreciate the invitation.
it's a pleasure. Professor Kruger is at Avitas Fertility Clinic. If you'd like to get hold of them, please visit their website or you can DM me. Thanks, Professor. Have a great day further. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good weekend. Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.